Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining in. Let's start Krishna book class, and we will be starting Krishna book. Anyone who wants to read may unmute themselves, or I will be continuing. Hare Krishna. I do not see mic unmuted, so I am continuing.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anshika, please continue.
One who is enlightened in the mode of goodness by the process of devotional service is freed from the modes of ignorance and passion. In answering King Parikshit's question, Sukdev Goswami used the word Atmani, which indicates the stage of Brahmanical qualification in which one is allowed to study the Vedic literatures known as the Upanishads. The Upanishads describe in different ways the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord, the absolute truth. The Supreme Lord is called Nirguna. That does not mean he has no qualities. If it is only because he has qualities that the conditioned living entities can have qualities. The purpose of studying the Upanishads is to understand the transcendental qualities of the absolute truth as opposed to the material qualities of ignorance, passion, and goodness. That is the way of Vedic understanding. Great sages like the four Kumaras, headed by Sanaka, followed these principles of Vedic knowledge and came gradually from the impersonal understanding to the platform of personal worship of the Supreme Lord. It is therefore recommended that we must follow the great personalities. Sukdev Goswami is also one of the great personalities, and his answers to the inquiry of Maharaj Parikshit is all authorized. One who follows in the footsteps of such great personalities surely walks very easily on the path of liberation and ultimately goes back home, back to Godhead. That is the way of perfect That is the way of perfecting this human form of life. Sukhdev Goswami continued to speak to Marikshit Maharaja. My dear king, he said, in this regard, I shall narrate a nice story. The story is important because it is in connection with Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This narration is a conversation between Narayana Rishi and the great sage Narada. Narada Rishi still reside. Narada
Narayana.
Rishi still Narayana Rishi still resides in Badrikashrama and is accepted as an incarnation of Narayana. Badrikashrama is situated in the northmost part of the Himalayan mountains and is always covered with snow. Religious Indians still go to visit this place during the summer season when the snowfall is not very severe. Once, when Narada, the great devotee and ascetic among the demigods, was traveling among different planets, he desired to meet the ascetic Narayana personally in Badrikashrama and offer him respects. This great sage incarnation of Godhead, Narayana Rishi, has been undergoing great penances and austerities from the very beginning of the creation to teach the inhabitants of Bhar- Bharatvarsha
Bharat.
how
Hare
Bharatvarsha
Krishna, you understand this part, no? This is this is not A. Yes, please continue.
how to attain the highest perfectional stage of going back to Godhead. His austerities and penances are exemplary practices for the human being. The incarnation of God Narayana Rishi was sitting among many devotees in the village known as Kalapa Grama. Of course,
Grama.
this
Kalapa Grama.
Kalapa Grama. Of course, these were not ordinary sages sitting with him, and the great sage Narada also appeared there. After offering his respect to Narayana Rishi, Narada asked him exactly the same question King Parikshit asked Sukdev Goswami. Then the Rishi answered by following in the footsteps of his uh, predecessors. He narrated a story of how the same question had been discussed on the planet known as Janaloka, which is above the Svargaloka planets, such as the moon and Venus. On this planet, great sages and saintly persons live, and and they once discussed the same point regarding the understanding of Brahman and his real identity. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. I am correcting you because again and again you should not be making the same mistake. This is not live, this is live. This is not severe, this is severe. Yeah? Okay, let's continue. We have understood this part. We have been reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Srimad Bhagavatam we have been discussing this part again and again. What that following the footstep of Guru Acharya, those who are in the Guru Shishya Parampara, if you follow the footstep of them, then we can become perfect. Despite being imperfect, we can become perfect. Yeah, this is uh, a special condition that we get into, right? Uh, Now, this is because Krishna is perfect. Actually, even then, we cannot be perfect. But because Krishna is perfect, we would become perfect. And that's the way of perfecting our lives. We would never become perfect. In this life, we would never become perfect. But His Divine Guru Srila Prabhupada said, the objective of this life is to develop love for God. You just follow His footsteps, simple. He has said, so you follow. You develop love for God, you would become perfect. Ideally, you were never subjected to become perfect. There would never be a situation. There should never be a situation when you should have become perfect, considering your fallen position, our fallen position, except when you are not an associate of Krishna, which actually means you are already perfect. So His Divine Guru Srila Prabhupada, senior acharyas have guided us on this path of perfection. We just need to follow his footsteps. We do not, we should not be uh, putting our minds over it. Look, we should never do anything to get our sense of pride, our sense of belonging. Sukhdev Goswami did not speak anything because he knew it. Sukhdev Goswami spoke everything because he knew Shastra had it. He had heard from great acharyas. He had heard from Shiva. He had heard from Vyasdev. He had heard from Narada. We should not be speaking out of our own mind. Right? Now, I was just speaking to someone. It's very easy said uh, to speak that we have to control our mind. It's very easy to speak, but it's very hard to follow. Very hard. Mind is not that simple to control. And if it were that simple to control, just imagine. If it were that simple to control, everyone would have perfected their minds. And if anyone would have perfected, forget everyone. If anyone would have perfected, then he or she could have engaged his mind over Krishna. Done. If you could control your mind, it's so simple. Then you could control your mind and use it for Krishna. Done. If you are using your mind for Krishna, you would be using your senses for Krishna. You would be using your intelligence for Krishna. You would not have false ego. You would have correct identification. Everything is done. It's very easy said. The problem could be identified. But please do not understand that because you have identified the problem, the solution is simple. Right? They are two different things. One, identifying the problem. Second, answering the solution. Let me divert for a bit. So you see many startups, right? In these days, we are seeing many companies coming up, right? Now there are many ways of doing business, and there, look, if it is material world, there would be wrong things. Please understand, this is a fact. Material world would not have right things. Please never ever expect in material world everything to be correct. There would never be a situation where everything is correct. Everything would be wrong. That is material world. But just for example, so identifying problem is very simple, right? Suppose some system is not working, you can identify. But you see many startups failing. Why do they fail? Because their solution is not perfect. These are two very different things. One, you identify the problem. Second, you provide a solution. If they both match, then you progress. Then your solution is put to use. Yeah. Suppose you have fever. Yeah. and you are taking a medicine of multivitamin. Look, taking multivitamin medicine is not bad. Multivitamin medicine is always good. But when you have fever, you should be taking fever's medicine. Identifying problem that you have fever and thereby getting a solution that you should be getting a medicine which solves this problem are two very very different things. When you would be having fever and you would be having medicine for body ache, when you would be having fever and you would be having multivitamin, it would not solve the purpose. So, one, we need to understand our mind is not working properly. Our mind is not being utilized for Krishna. We are not perfect. We are in this world, which is a fallen world. We are ready to fall down further. This is one situation. Another is that what solution do we have for this problem? Unless we have a proper solution, our problem won't be fixed. Right? So, what is the proper solution that we have been talking in many, many classes now? In Srimad Bhagavatam, we have been talking for many classes now. What is the problem, proper solution? We have to get the knowledge from the right sources. What is the right source? Guru Shishya Parampara. Is the solution or is the knowledge that we get from Guru Shishya Parampara beyond fall? Yes, it cannot fall. The knowledge which comes from Guru Shishya Parampara cannot be followed. It is always perfect. The knowledge which comes from Guru Shishya Parampara should be considered as coming directly from Krishna himself. If there is no broken chain, else it would be subject to this one mental speculation. Yeah. So let me continue from here. The great sage Narayana began to speak. My dear Narada, he said, I shall tell you a story which took place long, long ago. It was a great meeting of denizens. Denizens means residents of heavenly planets, and almost all the important brahmacharis, such as the four Kumaras, Sananda, Sanaka, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, attended. Their discussion was on the subject matter of understanding the absolute truth, Brahman. You were not present at that meeting because you had gone to see my expansion, Aniruddha, who lives in the island of Shwetadvipa. In this meeting, all the great sages and brahmacharis very elaborately discussed the point about which you have asked me, and their discussion was very interesting. It was so delicate that even the Vedas were unable to answer the intricate question raised. I believe we have read this part, but let's continue. We read this in last time. Still, we are continuing. Narayana Rishi told Naradji that the same question Naradji had asked has been discussed in the meeting of Janaloka. This is the way of understanding through the parampara or the recyclic succession. Again, same thing. Maharaj Parikshit questioned Sukdev Goswami, and Sukdev Goswami referred the matter to Narada, who had the same way, who had in the same way questioned Narayana Rishi who had put the matter to still higher authorities on the planet of Janaloka, where it was discussed among the great Kumaras Sanatana, Sanaka, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara. These four brahmacharis, the Kumaras, are recognized scholars in the Vedas and other Shastras. The unlimited knowledge, unlimited volume of knowledge, backed by austerity and penances, are exhibited by their sublime ideal character. They are very amiable and gentle in behavior, and for them there is no distinction between friends, well wishers, and enemies. Being transcendentally situated, such personalities as the Kumaras are above all material considerations. Above all material consideration. They do not understand about material, this one, attributes, right? Uh, because they are transcendentally situated, they do not find difference between enemies and friends, because they see everyone in connection with Krishna. Yeah, it's very difficult. That situation is very difficult to obtain. Okay. They are very amiable and gentle in behavior, and for them there is no distinction between friends, well wisher, and enemies. Being transcendently situated, such personalities as the Kumaras are above all material considerations and are always neutral in respect to material dualities. In the discussions held among the four brothers, one of them, namely Sanandana, was selected to speak, and other brothers became the audience to hear him. Sanandana said, I think we had to continue from here. So, yes, Sanandana said, after the dissolution of the whole cosmic manifestation, the entire energy and the whole creation in this nucleus form enter into the body of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. The Lord at that time remains asleep for a long, long time. And when there is again necessity of creation, the Vedas personified assemble around the Lord and begin to glorify Him, describing His wonderful transcendental pastimes exactly like servants of the king. When the king is asleep in the morning, the appointed reciters come around his bedroom and begin to speak, begin to sing in a chivalrous, in his chivalrous activities, and while hearing of his glorious activities, the king gradually awakens. The Vedic reciters or the personified Vedas sing thus: O unconquerable king, you are the supreme personality. No one is equal to you or greater than you. No one can be more glorious in his activities. All glories unto you. All glories unto you. By your own transcendental uh, by your own transcendental nature, you fully possess all six opulence. As such, you are able to deliver all conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya. O Lord, we fervently pray to you, kindly do so. Hmm. Okay, what is the request? What is the prayer? Okay, here it is written. You are able to deliver all conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. O Lord, we fervently pray that you kindly do so. All the living entities, being your parts and parcel, are naturally joyful, eternal, and full of knowledge. But due to their own faults, they imitate, sorry, they imitate. Mm. You They imitate you by trying to become the uh, supreme enjoyer. They imitate you. Yeah, that is the problem. Yeah, what happens by imitating? Hmm? Sorry, let it get marked. By imitating, what happens? Hmm, uh, we can use the scenario. Uh, what happens? We become envious of Krishna, and when we become envious of Krishna, we fall. Thus they disobey. Thus they disobey your supremacy and becomes offenders. And because of their offenses, yeah, and because of their offenses, mm, your material energy has taken charge of them. Thus, their transcendental qualities of joyfulness, bliss, and wisdom have been covered by the clouds of three material qualities. This cosmic manifestation, made of the three material qualities, is just like a prison house for the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are struggling very hard to escape from this material bondage, and according to their different conditions of life, they have been given different types of engagement. But since all engagements are based on knowledge supplied by you, the conditioned souls can execute pious activities only. Uh, yeah. So what happens? We become envious of Krishna. Uh, uh, we try to imitate Krishna. We try to enjoy. We try to be supreme enjoyer. So we imitate Krishna. When we imitate Krishna, we fall down and we become envious of Krishna. And as soon as we do that, we become offenders. Even now, uh, uh, in this world, we often hear many people saying some similar things, and it is taken by intellect class as very well. There's a Hindi saying which goes by "Suno sabki, karo man ki." Hear everyone, but do what you wish like. Actually, that is the sin that we all have gotten ourselves into. If we keep continue doing that, if we keep hearing everyone and do what we feel like, we would always be fallen. We are fallen, and we would always stay in this fallen state. We would never come out of it unless there is surrenderance. There is no knowledge. Unless we surrender on to the Guru Shishya Parampara and thus to Guru, there is no elevation. Not possible. We would always struggle. That would be our reality. So if we want to struggle, we may struggle. If suppose anyone has choice that he wants to struggle, then he may struggle. Ideally, we should never do that. But because we are under the spell of Maya, we are not able to understand, we are struggling. Uh, just imagine someone who has been drowned, and you must have seen something like this happening. Just remember, just recall some past times. Someone who has drowned, yeah, almost drowned, yeah. So someone who went to this river or ocean just to swim, and he almost fainted. He was about to die, but someone rescued him. Right? He brought him to the shore, took care of him, and in some time he got his consciousness back, and he is normal. Right? After some time, for some time, let's talk about for some time. For some time, he is in that state of mind where he thinks, life is so precious. I was about to die. I could have died today itself. I must utilize my life properly. And after some time, he is again back to work. Again back doing whatever he was doing. He forgot each and everything. He forgot that he was about to die. He forgot each and everything. He has nothing to do with anything. Similarly, when we go I don't know if you have experience of going. Please, I, I never wish that you have experience, but on the contrary, I wish that you go as well. So this is a self-contradictory view. So uh, on one direction, I never want you to go, but on the other, I want you to go. So I don't know whether you have gone or not. At someone's death, right? When you go and you think pensively, deeply, you try and understand, and you equate his life with yours, and you understand that this life is not forever, and that you would be gone very soon. You hold yourself and think, what have you done in your life? How would you be able to come out of all the attachment that you have gotten into? How would you be making your life successful? You are still struggling. You understand that you have to do a lot of things. You understand that this life is very short. You understand this is fragile. You understand anything could happen. You understand that this life is not real. This is temporary. You understand all those things. And everyone, nearly everyone, takes a pledge. Whether they say or not is another thing. This is like New Year resolution. You take New Year resolution. Every year you take New Year resolution. In this year I would. And there would be a lot of statements. And when third or fourth day of the year would come, you would we said something. Similarly, when you would see that someone died, you would take a resolution. From this day onwards, I would do this. I would correct my ways. I would not go the wrong way. I would live a proper life. I would do this. I would do this. I would do this. Very good. But as soon as we are away, as soon as we leave that environment, hmm, we settle down at some other place, some other setting, and we forget. Life comes and goes. It happens that way. When we have to go, we would go. It's okay. Actually, the fact is that you are impelled by Maya to speak those things. But another fact is you yourself, independent free will, you yourself do not want to work upon yourself. Now, this is the work of Maya. If you want to get swayed, if you want to get deviated, Maya would come and help you in that. Maya would come. This could this could be avoided only by one thing. Only by one thing. The Guru Shishya Parampara, because the knowledge is coming from Krishna, it is absolute knowledge, and you would not be swayed, you would not be misdirected, you would not think by your own mental concoction. You would be surrendered on to Guru, you would be surrendered on to Krishna, you would be surrendered on to Guru Shishya Parampara, you would be surrendered on to Vaishnava. You would always be answerable to Guru, Vaishnava, Krishna. Now, imagine when you are a servant of Krishna. How can you have dualities? In one situation, you would say this, another situation, you would say that. How can you have dualities? You are surrendered on to Krishna, you are surrendered on to Krishna. That is your reality. Suppose you are surrendered unto your guru. Where is duality? The duality does not exist. The supreme goal of life is Krishna. The supreme goal of life is Krishna. The supreme goal of life is Krishna. That is what Guru would tell you. And where would the duality come from? So, unless you are surrendered, I was talking about mind. It's very difficult. It's very easy said. I'm again and again admitting it's very easy said, uh, but it's very hard to implement. But if your mind is channelized in this direction, that I am surrendered to my guru, whatever my guru says, I would be doing that. Then the life becomes very simple. There is no difficulty. There are no challenges. There is no duality. There is no mental concoction, mental understanding. Yeah. Uh, so, uh, uh, there is the knowledge coming from. Yeah. I believe we have read, but still I am reading. Therefore, you, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot surpass the influence of material energy. Yeah. Again, going to the same point. Actually, we as personified Vedic knowledge are always engaged in your service by helping conditioned soul understand you. Of all the Vedas, I am to be known. Yeah, Krishna says. So, and this prayer of Vedas personified illustrates that Vedas are meant for helping the conditioned soul to understand Krishna. As the Shrutis or personified Vedas offered glories to the Lord again and again, but singing Jaya Jaya. This indicates that the Lord is most glorious of all His glories, the most important of His causeless mercy upon conditioned soul. The most important is His causeless mercy upon the conditioned soul in reclaiming them from the clutches of Maya. There are unlimited number of living entities in different varieties of bodies, some moving and some standing in one place. And the conditioned life of these living entities is due only to forgetfulness of their eternal relationship. Okay, here two is missing, due to only their forgetfulness. Okay, this two should come before. Uh, Let me read it again. There are unlimited number of living entities in different varieties of bodies. Some moving, some standing in one place. Some is standing, something like trees. And the conditioned life of these living entities is due to only their forgetfulness of the eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the living entity wants to lord it, yeah, this is what lord it. What is lord it? Want to enjoy, want to become lord. Yeah, when the living entities want to lord it over material energy by imitating the position of Krishna, he immediately captured by the material energy and according to the desires is offered in the variety of 84 lakh, 8.4 million different kinds of bodies. uh, Although undergoing threefold miseries of material existence, the illusion living entity falsely thinks himself to be the master of all he surveys. Under the spell of material energy, represented by the threefold material qualities, the living entity is so entangled that he is not at all able to become free unless he is graced by the Supreme Lord. The living entity cannot conquer the influence of material modes of nature by his own endeavor. But because of the material nature, but because the material nature is working under the control of Supreme Lord, the Lord is beyond its jurisdiction. Except for him, all living entities from Brahma down to the ant are conquered by the contact of material nature. So everyone is under the spell of material nature. Because the Lord possesses in full the six opulence, wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. He alone is beyond the spell of material nature. Krishna is alone. There is no second. Krishna is alone beyond the spell of material nature. Unless the living entity is situated in Krishna consciousness, he cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, the Lord, by his omnipotency, can dictate from within as the super soul how a living entity can gradually come to him, even while performing his ordinary work. Uh, yes, this is very beautiful question. Uh, Very beautiful question. And if anyone answers this, I would mm, thank him or her million times. So here it is written that Krishna, by his omnipotency, Krishna is present everywhere, can dictate from within. Krishna is residing in the heart of everyone, can dictate from within as super soul how a living entity can gradually come to him. So Krishna is residing in the heart of everyone. So everyone can understand from within his heart how we should be going back to Krishna, even while performing his ordinary work. Now comes the question: when Krishna could dictate from within, why does anyone require Guru Shishya Parampara? I would get the knowledge from within. Krishna is residing within. I would get the knowledge from within. Simple. Why do I require Guru Shishya Parampara? Krishna would guide from within. Krishna is residing in my heart. Why would anyone require Guru Shishya Parampara? It is not required. No? Anshika, could you do me a work? Could you remember this, and we would ask this question again in Krishna book. Uh, Krishna book. Sorry, this one, Srimad Bhagavatam 19. Very important question. Hmm? Could you remember? Please note it down if you. Very important question. We could discuss for hours on this. Okay, let's continue. Krishna guides from within. For now, just understand that part. As the Lord advises in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do it for me. Whatever you eat, first offer it to me. Whatever charity you want to give, first give it to me. And whatever austerities and penances you want to perform that for me. In this way, the karmis are directed gradually to develop Krishna consciousness. Similarly, Krishna directs the philosophers to approach him gradually by discriminating between Brahman and Maya. And at last, when one is mature in understanding, he surrenders unto Krishna. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, after many births, the wise philosopher surrenders unto me. The yogis are also directed to concentrate their meditation upon Krishna within the heart, and by such a continuous process of Krishna consciousness, they can also become free from the clutches of material energy. The devotees, however, are engaged in devotional service with love and affection from the very beginning, and therefore the Lord personally directs them so that they can approach Him without any difficulty or deviation. This is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Only by the grace of Lord can the living entity understand the exact position of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The statement of the personified Vedas give clear evidence that the Vedic knowledge is presented only for understanding Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that through all the Vedas, it is Krishna alone who is to be understood. Krishna is always enjoying either in the material world or in the spiritual world because he is the supreme enjoyer. For him, there is no distinction between material and spiritual worlds. The material world is an impediment stoppage for the ordinary living entities because they are under its control. But Krishna, being the controller of the material world, has nothing to do with the impediments it offers. Therefore, in different parts of the Upanishad, the Vedas declare the Supreme Brahman is eternal, full of knowledge and all bliss, and that one supreme personality of Godhead exists in the heart of every living entity. Because of his all pervasiveness, he is able to enter not only in the hearts of the living entities but even into the atoms also. As the super soul, he is the controller of as the super soul, he is the controller of all living of all activities of the living entities. Uh, he lives within all of them and witnesses their action, allowing them to act according to their desires. Independent free will is maintained, is ensured. Independent free will is not negotiated with. Please understand this part. Hmm. He lives within all of them and witnesses their action, allowing them to act. Please understand, Krishna never negotiates with your independent free will. In fact, your independent identity would always be ensured, and Krishna himself ensures it, allowing them to act according to his their own to their desires, and also giving them the result of their different activities. He is the living force of all living things, but he is transcendental to this material qualities, to the material qualities. He is omnipotent, everywhere present. He is expert in manufacturing everything on the account of his superior natural knowledge. He can he can bring everyone under his control. As such, he is everyone's master. He is sometimes he is sometimes manifest on the surface of the globe, but he is simultaneously within all matter. Desiring to expand himself in multi forms, he glanced over the material energy and uh, thus innumerable living entities became manifest. Everything is created by his superior energy, and everything in his creation appears to be perfectly done without deficiency. Those who aspire for liberation from this material world must therefore worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate causes of all causes. He is just like the total mass of earth, from which varieties of earthly pots are manufactured. The pots are made of earthly clay. They rest on the earth, and after being destroyed, their elements ultimately merge back into earth, the original causes of all varieties of manifestation. Enjoying this analogy, Brahman with earth, the impersonalists especially stress the Vedic statement Sarvam Kalau Idam Brahma. Everyone is Brahman. The impersonalists do not take into account the varieties of manifestation emanating from the supreme cause Brahman. They simply consider that everything emanates from Brahman and after destruction merges into Brahman. And that the intermediate stage of manifestation is also Brahman. But although the Mayavadis believe that prior to this manifestation, the cosmos was in Brahman, after creation, it remains in Brahman, and after destruction, it merges into Brahman. They do not know what Brahman is. The Brahma Samhita, however, clearly describes Brahman, the living entities, space, time, and the material elements like earth, sky, water, mind uh, constitute the total cosmic manifestation known as Bhuva, Bhuva, Swaha, which is manifested by Govinda. It flourishes on the strength of Govinda after the annihilation enters into the con, uh, enters into and is conserved into Govinda. Lord Brahma therefore says, I worship Lord Govinda, the original personality of all of the causes of all causes. The word Brahman indicates the greatest of all and maintainer of everything. The impersonalists are attracted by the greatness of the sky, but because of their poor fund of knowledge, they are not attracted by the greatness of Krishna. In our practical life, however, we are attracted by the greatness of the person and not by the greatness of the big mountain. The term Brahman actually applies to Krishna only. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna concludes that Lord Krishna is the Para Brahman. Right? What is Krishna? Para Brahman, the supreme resting place of everything. Krishna is the supreme Brahman because of his unlimited knowledge, unlimited potencies, unlimited strength, unlimited influence, unlimited beauty, unlimited renunciation. Ultimately, therefore, the word Brahman can be applied to Krishna only. Arjuna affirms that because the impersonal Brahman is the effulgence emanating as rays of Krishna's transcendental body, Krishna is the Para Brahman. Everything rests on Brahman, but Brahman itself rests on Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is the ultimate Brahman or Para Brahman. The material elements are accepted as the inferior energy of Krishna. By their interaction of the cosmic manifestation takes place, rest on Krishna, and after dissolution again enters into the body of Krishna as his subtle energy. Krishna is therefore the causes of manifestation as well as dissolution. Uh, Sarvam Kalau Idam Brahma means that everything is Krishna. In the sense that everything is his energy. This is the vision of Mahabhagatas. They see everything in relation to Krishna. The impersonalists argue that Krishna himself has been transformed into many impersonalist arguments, and that therefore everything is Krishna, and worship of anything is worship of him. This false argument is answered by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Although everything is a transformation of the energy of Krishna, he is not present everywhere. He is simultaneously present and not present. Now, this is uh, what? Veda Veda. Achintaniya Veda Veda. He is simultaneously present and not present. By his energy, yeah, what is the problem? What is the companion do? I don't know. Some pop up. Let it. Okay. Okay. Here are we. He is simultaneously present and not present. Now this is very important. By his energy, he is present everywhere. But as uh, the energetic, he is not present everywhere. This simultaneously presence and non-presence is inconceivable to our present senses. But a clear explanation is given in the beginning of each Upanishad. in which it is stated that the Supreme Lord is so complete that although unlimited energy and their transformations emanate from Krishna, Krishna's personality is not in the least bit transformed. Therefore, since Krishna is the cause of all causes, intelligent person should take shelter of his lotus feet. Krishna advises everyone just to surrender unto him, and that is the way of Vedic instruction. Since Krishna is the cause of all causes, he is worshipped by all kinds of sages and the saints, though observance of the through observance of the regulative principles. As far as the meditation is concerned, great personalities meditate on the transcendental form of Krishna within the heart. In this way, the mind of the great personalities are always engaged in Krishna. With their minds engaged in Krishna, naturally, the captivated devotees simply talk about Krishna. This is very, very sweet. Very sweet. Let me read it once again. This is very sweet. I request someone, please, Dipti Mataji, please ensure that this comes in the this one. Are you? This is very sweet. As far as meditation is concerned, great personalities meditate on the transcendental forms of Krishna within the heart. In this way, the minds of great personalities are always engaged in Krishna. With their minds engaged in Krishna, naturally the captivated devotees simply talk of Krishna. Talking of Krishna, singing of Krishna is called Kirtana. Lord Chaitanya recommends Kirtana Sada Hari, which means always thinking and talking of Krishna and nothing else. This is called Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is so sublime that anyone who takes to this process is elevated to the highest perfection of life, far, far beyond the concept of liberation. In the Bhagavad Gita, therefore, Krishna advises everyone always think of him, render devotional service to him, worship him, offer obeisances to him. In this way, devotee becomes fully Krishnaized and become always situated in Krishna consciousness, ultimately goes back to Krishna. Although the Vedas have recommended worship of different demigods as different parts and parcel of Krishna, it is to be understood that such instructions, yeah, last paragraph. It is to be understood that such instructions are meant for less intelligent men who are still attached to the material sense enjoyment, but the person who actually wants to perfect fulfillment of the mission of human life should simply worship Lord Krishna, and that will simplify the matter. Uh, that would simplify the matter and completely guarantee the success of human life. Although the sky, the water, the land are all parts of the material world, when one stands on the solid land, his position is more secure than when he stands on the sky or the water. An intelligent person, therefore, does not stand under the protection of different demigods, although they are parts and parcel of Krishna. Rather, he stands on the solid ground of Krishna consciousness, that is, his position sound and secure. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Many, many thanks for everyone to join in. Now, let's do Vaishnav Pranam Mantra, and if we have any question, we would take it. Anyone unmuting for Vaishnav Pranam Mantra? No?
Hare
Anshika,
Krishna.
please. Hare
पाञ्चकल्पातरुभ्यश्च
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च
Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnavind ki
जय
Jai. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki जय
जय
भगवद गीता की, जय
जय
श्रीमद् भागवतम की,
जय
जय सभी भक्तों की
जय।
जय। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
कृष्णा
कृष्ण
हरे हरे,
कृष्ण हरे
हरे
हरे, हरे
राम
राम हरे
राम
राम,
हरे हरे।
राम
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा Hare Krishna everyone. Hare Krishna. Many thanks for everyone for joining in. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Yeah, any question, any kind of question. Yes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. No questions.
Tomorrow is Ekadashi.
Tomorrow?
Is there Ekadashi?
Yeah, tomorrow is Ekadashi. Again for the Zoom, Google Meet, it was causing problem. It would cause problem. Actually, it's a way of uh, company functions. They would cause problem and then stop and then again cause problem. So, anyways, when Google Meet has stopped and told that we would not allow more than 60 minutes of meeting, then we have to switch to either Zoom or Google Meet paid version. Uh, so today it is not doing. I saw in the morning itself. It is not disturbing. It is allowing us to continue our meeting. Even for now, the meeting has been more than 1 hour 40 minutes, 30 minutes. Yeah. So ideally they do not allow. Actually, it got disconnected in between. I don't know what happened. I stopped this one. Maybe I closed the tab. In 10-15 minutes it got stopped. But it was some technical error. Maybe the connection got snapped or anything, something like that. For more than 1 hour, this is live. 1 hour 2 minutes. Right? I could read that. So ideally, Google Meet would not allow this. Even in morning, we continued till uh, uh, devotees did not leave. Right. So I don't know. We have to pay. That is a reality. And in fact, we cannot delay much longer because by 15th, the offer, the payment offer would die. Offer would not exist. So we would have to take initiative. Anyways, we would be. Any other question we have? For today, this Google Meet is not causing problem, but we would be moving to Zoom most likely. Yes. No questions? Okay then. Thank you everyone for joining in. Many thanks. Keep on joining. Keep on chanting Krishna's name.